Hello, payroll students. I thought I'd take some time and kind of go over the project. It is a little lengthy, so I wanted to go ahead and get it posted out for everyone. And as soon as you finish chapters 5 and 6 and take exam 3, which is due November 13th, you will be ready to start the payroll project. It is due Wednesday, December 4th, so you do have a few weeks to get it completed. Of course, we also have a week off for Thanksgiving break in there. So I just wanted you to go ahead and have this, and you can get started anytime, but it really would help to get chapters 5 and 6 wrapped up, since chapter 6 will go through a lot of the journal entries that you will need to complete this. So as you're getting started on the project, on the home page, you should see a module for the payroll project now, and you'll have access to an Excel file. And then I put the tax tables out here because you will need to calculate federal income tax withholding in this project. So that's just easier to reference than locating them in the textbook. So there is a project link for Cengage. That's what we call the audit test, where you'll just be putting in answers from the whole project itself. So you won't actually click on that link and do the Cengage portion until you've completed the entire project. Okay, so the read first, I'm going to be updating this probably a little bit with the video and everything, but basically Appendix A in your textbook is where all of the instructions are for this project. So whether you have the physical book or the ebook, you have access to all the instructions in Appendix A. So you're going to be doing 2 payrolls, which is an entire month of payroll for a company. You'll be keeping the employee earning records, doing the journal entries for both payroll and payroll taxes, posting it all to the ledger. So really doing everything except for the tax reporting part of things. So you will not have to do that part of the project. So all of this is going to be kept on the Excel file. So this Appendix A payroll project, you will want that open as you're completing the project. So I'll go to that in just a minute. First, I just want to point out some things in Appendix A that you'll need to pay special attention to. So first thing, before you open the file, before you get started, I do encourage you to read over Appendix A. It's the same as Chapter 7, which it looks like we skipped, but that is just fully like the whole payroll project, so like 3 months of payroll. So we're doing the short version, which is just 2 pay periods. The Excel project file that you open will have all the previous payrolls, so you can actually see all the journal entries and see the earnings records and everything. Payroll register. So read through Appendix A first. It does have, a brief getting to know Excel. You do not have to understand Excel that much to use this Excel file. It actually is going to step you through a lot of it and have a lot of formulas and things in it that'll auto-calculate for you, which is really nice. Okay, I would definitely though start with the illustrative case, and then you're going to actually complete part 4 here, the short payroll project. So if I start on 2, it kind of breaks down the Excel file, which we'll go through here in a minute. So it goes through everything you need to know. So you'll start here. It gives you important information on the company. So in part 2 there, it tells you everything you need to know about how this company operates. Okay, so it tells you overtime, when they're paid, how income tax is withheld. It talks about the group life insurance. It talks about union dues and everything. And then it goes into, the different salary designations, which you'll need when you're doing your journal entries. And then on part 9 here, it talks about all of the different payroll taxes. A lot of these payroll taxes are going to be auto-calculated in the Excel file for you, but you will be calculating federal income tax using the wage bracket method, except for on the second payroll, you'll have 1 employee, you have to use the percent method. But all the others will use the wage bracket method. It will automatically calculate the state income and city income, as well as the employee SUTA taxes and all the Federal Insurance Contributions Act. You will be calculating the federal unemployment and state unemployment for the employer, since these are payroll tax liabilities. Okay. It talks about the deposit rules, which will affect your journal entries. And then the third part of the appendix really goes through a whole payroll period for you. So this is November 20th. It talks about the company is offering a savings incentive match plan. And that is important to read through because these employees that are contributing to the simple plan that is offered, it does reduce their taxable income for federal income tax. So only on when you're calculating their federal income tax for these 4 employees, you will need to take their gross pay minus these simple contributions, okay? And then look up those gross pays. So that's why it's important to kind of read through this. Here it's showing you, again, it's giving time records and it's walking you through the entire November 20th payroll. So it tells you from the payroll register how to enter it. And then if you keep going, how to journalize payroll entries. So here's some great examples that you'll be doing pretty much the same thing on our payroll side. They'll just have different numbers. And then the payroll taxes, posting all of those, updating employee earnings records. Part F, pay attention to because these salaries for Ford and Russell increase for the next pay period. So that will affect when you're logging the December 4th pay. So be mindful of this information here. And then November 30th has already been logged in the employee earnings record. Okay. So once you've kind of read through that and you have a good feel for what's going on, that's when you can open the Excel file, the Appendix A payroll project. And part 4 here is where it actually begins. So you're going to be working through all of these steps to complete the payroll. So just to show you what the Excel file looks like, it is kind of daunting. I understand it's a little overwhelming, but it's not too bad. There are some Excel instructions here. The first tab is the journal. So that's where you can kind of look back and see October and November pay. You can even follow along in Appendix A for, the November 20th pay. So it's actually showing you those journal entries. Okay. The general ledger, of course, will be updated after you've made your journal entries. So you have a general ledger for all of your accounts. Okay. The payroll register, though, is where you will start your payroll calculations. Okay, so we'll come back to that here in a minute, but as you can see, this is the payroll register. Again, it has all of their pay dates. That's marital status, number of withholdings, their time record, regular and overtime, total earnings. Again, the great thing is after you've entered in all of these earnings records, it will automatically calculate your deductions except for your federal income tax. And then you'll have to put in any group insurance, union dues, simple contributions. After that, though, it'll calculate your net pay and everything. And then you'll have to enter in the taxable earnings and the labor cost distribution. But again, a lot of the deductions are calculated for you, which is nice. And then you also have the employee earning records. So once you've journalized your payroll, or actually once you've entered in all your payroll, calculated all your withholdings, you'll journalize post, and then you need to update each employee's employee earnings record. So this will come from your payroll register. Okay, so it may not be a bad idea to print out the payroll register when you're done December 4th, and that way you can fill out all of this. Okay, so let's go over a few key points. Again, you'll start here. December 3rd, deposit the state of Pennsylvania the amount of state income tax withheld from the November payroll. That's a journal entry. Okay, so your very first journal entry, you're going to look in your general ledger and you would want to find your employee state income tax withholding or payable. So employee SIT payable, employee state income tax payable. Well, right now we owe $427.43. Okay, so when I go to the journal, the first journal entry you're going to do, and you're just going to follow their format, type December 3rd, and we want to pay that. So it's just type in employees SIT payable, and that amount was the $427.43 debit, and I would credit cash. Notice as I type in these journal entries, it automatically verifies that your debits equal your credits, which is nice, especially when you're entering longer payroll entries. Okay, so that's one checkpoint you'll have. The book will prompt you to put in checkpoints, but as you can see, every tab had some checkpoint on it. So you'll actually know when you're going through and completing your payroll. Notice there's checkpoints after each payroll. So you can actually make sure that your amounts are correct before you do any journal entries or any employee earnings records. Okay, so you do have a way to check your work even though we're not working on this in Cengage. So that's the first step. So we did that one together, and you would still need to post that entry to the ledger. Okay, employee SIT payable, December 3rd. And I think we're on, yeah, journal page 45. And I debited the balance. Notice it automatically updates my balance. I don't have to do that. So that was account 25. And then the cash credit for $427.43. Again, December 3rd. Journal page 45. Put in my credit. The balance updates automatically. Okay. So, once you've downloaded this Excel file, make sure you save it to your computer and save often as you're going through this. You don't want to miss or lose any of your work. So we did part A together on December 3rd. So December 4th, you're going to prepare the payroll. It says using the time clerk's report numbers 46 and 47. Okay, so here's the time that you'll enter in. You'll go to your payroll register, you'll put in marital status and number of withholdings. You'll put in all the time records. You'll calculate regular and overtime earnings. Again, once you get that calculated, most of your deductions will automatically calculate. You will use the wage bracket method to calculate the federal income tax. And again, you will need to put in, there's actually no insurance on December 4th. They pay insurance once a month. So that one will get taken out on the December 18th. But you will have union dues and those simple contributions. Okay, so you'll be entering in all that information. Again, just a few things to be aware of as you're doing December 4th payroll that I noticed as I was going through this is we have Bono. Actually, when I look at Bono's earning records, he actually worked on a Sunday. Well, if I were to read through the previous information about the company, Bono is an hourly employee. He's paid overtime at double rate if he works weekends or holidays. So since he worked on a weekend, he's actually going to get double his pay, his hourly rate for those 8 hours of overtime. So be mindful of that. For Ryan, he lost 4 hours, so make sure you're calculating his pay at 36 hours. So you want to use his hourly rate, okay, to calculate that. So on Ryan, his normal rate per hour is $18. Well, that's pretty easy since he's already an hourly rate employee, okay. I think that's about it. You will also have some overtime though for Ryan in week 2, so make sure you calculate that separately. And the student works 36 hours a week, so that's standard. Beth Woods is a new employee. She just started, so she didn't work Monday, so she'll have a total of 72 hours of pay. So just make sure you enter in her earnings are all in this employee earnings records. So all of these marital status, number of withholdings, anything that you can't find is going to be in the employee earnings records. Okay, so alphabetically, I would look for Beth Woods. So she gets paid $2,600 a month, or her weekly rate is $600, and her hourly rate is $15. And then here's, she, let's see, here's her group insurance amount. And so everything is here. see, make that a little smaller. Like I can't see everything. Beth is married or single with one allowance, so this is where that information comes from. Okay, so you'll be able to do that for all of them. So you'll fill out that. Again, make sure you reference that Ford and Russell both had pay increases, so go off of your employee earnings records for their rate of pay. I think that's most of it that is a little tricky in this first payroll. So if you have any questions, of course, you can always email me as you're going through this payroll project. Again, it will take some time. It is a lot of work, you know, especially when you're getting into the tediousness of copying everything over to the employee's earning records and everything. So again, with December 4th pay, you'll do the register first. So you'll have to calculate all of this first. Then you can do your journal entry for your total payroll. Okay, you'll have totals there for total earnings, you know, total with deductions, all of that. So once you've done the payroll register, you will journalize. It'll look like this one here. You'll have one that looks like this. And then you'll also calculate your payroll taxes for the employer. So make sure you're calculating your withholding for FICA and you know, both OASDI and HIE off of the gross earnings. And then, you know, you might have you'll have state and federal unemployment taxes. So you'll have two there. They don't show FUTA here because all of the other employees had met the limit. I believe for FUTA it is $7,000. Well, remember we had Beth Woods, who's a new employee, so her wages up to $7,000 of that first pay. So pretty much all of her December 4th wages will be subject to FUTA. So just be mindful of that. SUTA obviously as well. So you'll want to check what employees still will owe SUTA. And SUTA is the first 10,000 of employees' wages. So again, it's easy to come through here in the employee earnings record and look for cumulative earnings. You know, so we have Bono's already exceeded that. You know, Ferguson has, Ford has, Mann, obviously O'Neill, Russell, Ryan, Sokolowski. But notice here the student, they haven't reached that SUTA limit yet. So they will have some wages up to 10,000. So you'll need to calculate how much of their wages are subject to SUTA from the employer standpoint. And then again, you'll have Beth Woods, whatever she made for December 4th will be subject to both FUTA and SUTA. So that'll be, you'll do a payroll tax for the employer payroll taxes. And then again, you'll post all of those to the ledger accounts. Then update employee earnings records to make sure everything is correct there, okay? Once you've done that, you've completed the December 4th payroll and you'll be ready to move on. Make sure you read B and C here, moving forward, make those changes. Notice those aren't effective until the next pay period though. And then December 9th, from there on, you just have some other payroll situations that you'll need to journalize and take care of. So you'll be working through this, again, using this Excel file and the Appendix A instructions. So there's lots of checkpoints within this that you can make sure you're on the right track. You can always email me and send me your copy, your Excel file, so I can look at it. And I'll be checking in with you guys to make sure everything's going smoothly. So you can always post, you know, overall questions in the questions forum on Canvas. And then when you're all finished, make sure you save, of course, this Excel file. And that is when, you know, after you're all finished through, December 18th, I believe, is the last one. Yeah, you do not have to do the end of year activities. So once you get through December 18th, you are done. That is when you will go in to the Cengage and enter in the numbers that it asks you for. Okay. So it looks lengthy. It's really just copying over numbers though. You know, it says December 4th payroll. What is the net pay for Joseph T. O'Neill? So you would come, you know, either to your employee earning record or your payroll register, look up O'Neill, look at his earnings and copy that number over. And so there's just questions. You can do it, you know, after you finish the December 4th, you can answer 1 through 10. And then after the 14th journal entry, you have another, I think, 10 questions. So, and then after, of course, the December 18th payroll, you have 10 more questions. So you can answer these as you go, or you can do it all at the end. But that's how you're getting the credit for completing this project. And then, of course, you will want to upload your Excel file here as well. I'll make sure that there's a Dropbox, or I guess we don't call it a Dropbox anymore, but a place for you to upload that completed Excel file as well. Okay. So again, you know, I have some project instructions out here that you can read through. It just kind of tells you very briefly what to do. You can always refer back to this video, and then just make sure that you email me if you have any questions. And hopefully you'll enjoy it. I mean, I enjoyed going through and doing the project myself. I think it's a very real world application because there are a lot of automatic calculations, and then there's some things you have to do, and those journal entries would normally be automatically calculated. But it's good practice, you know, learning all of the payroll procedures. So again, email me if you have any questions, and I hope you enjoy completing the project.